Well, welcome band members. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Fired up. We're in January right now, and it's exciting to see us be in a position where we've got the opportunity to start a brand new year. And I wanted to just first off, thank you guys for being on here. Congratulations on all of your successes. I know many of us hitting multiple milestones to wrap up the year strong. I just heard Kyle Creeman on here with the Big Green Circle and Big Daddy, but knocking out his first $2 million year and breaking the region record for the month of December and starting off the year very, very strong for 2020, a brand new decade. Today we've got Shayla Wey all the way from Canada, and she's going to be sharing with us some really great stuff about how to be intentional about planning, how to layer your planning systems, and just really how to scale your business. Shayla is just such a veteran in our business, working with Angie McDougall for so many years as a pilot manager, breaking all-time sales records of over $2 million. She's got a Bachelor of Commerce degree and also married to her husband, Brad, with a son named Carter and a daughter named Brooklyn. So very fired up for her to be on here. First time I met Shayla was at President's Banquet, and she opened in September. So that was her first campaign knocking out P Banquet, and they have to hit it at a higher level to go from Canada. But some highlights for her: she was the #1 recruiter in 2019 in North America, as well as 2018. Only office last year over 400 recruits. She did 139 recruits for the fall, 220,000 in new business, 156 in new business, 223 total, and no CSPs in her office, and her office was still over $830,000 last year. So 22% in growth. She's got 9 new offices opening up this year just out of the pilot. And she is 3 for 3 with P Banquet. And we are less than 7 days away from hanging out in Vegas and enjoying ourselves with some spa, some golf, and some delicious food. So we're really excited. Thank you for your preparation and your time, Shayla. We are all ears, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, excited to give this message, especially timely with it being January. I'm going to play the keynote from here. Now, are you guys' faces right in the middle of the PowerPoint, the keynote? Okay, well, I have you guys.
They're above, so you're good.
Okay, they're just in the middle of my screen, so I'm just going to move them over here. Okay, so I sent out a handout that you guys can use if you wanted to follow along, and then I have no problem sending the keynote to follow to complement the message. What I wanted to do is just sort of share how I sort of create the 1 to 3 year vision, and then how I scale the business and then systems that come along with that. And then I thought, if we are going to buffer 45 minutes, so if I go for about 40 and then just leave a little bit, if you have questions on some of the ways that I execute that, we can do that. So the first thing that I wanted to share is that when I transitioned, so as you mentioned, Nick, I was a pilot manager for many years, had a sales promotion role within home office. And then it wasn't until 2017 that I decided to transition back into being a district manager. And so for me, being a mom at the time, being in my 30s, I really had to get clear on what my brand was going to be personally. And so I think that's just an important thing as you're building a vision. We all have different personalities. We all have different things that we really want to gain. And so for me personally, it was really creating a definition of success. And what that means for me. We work with so many, young people that feel that, their definition of success sometimes is the fast, shiny things. And I think that as we, are all parents or most of us are parents, and as we kind of grow in our businesses, there's different things that create success for each of us. So I think just knowing that personally is, a really big thing. Personally, mine is defined by how I can find a way to incorporate everything that's important to me, all while enjoying the journey. So as I go after a goal, as I'm building my business, to just be having fun and enjoying my life along the way. For me, I really was hesitant on how I could run a business while being a mom. And I just, Angie obviously was an amazing leader for myself. So I had her as a role model, but not a lot of, female moms in the business. So for myself, my brand kind of, a couple years ago became being a mom first, boss leader second. Time has showed me that I obviously can, excel as a mom in the business, but that was a fear that I had. So just creating a brand personally around that. And then, my goal just genuinely is to help people become that 5-star recruit, so that if they work with me for a few weeks, few months, few years, they're going to leave better because of that. And so just sharing that's why I do what I do is to help people. And we know that the more people we help, the more success that's going to come our way. And just encouraging people to go after their dreams. That's obviously a very common thread within Vector. But that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. And then just having a professional brand. So in Canada, our corporate brand is, the arena to learn, grow, and dream. And so we really play on that. And when I was in sales promotion, that's something that I was able to help create. And so I just love being able to promote that and within interviews and training, and it's all over the walls. And then personally in my division, our 3 words are I'm looking for people that are committed, coachable, and kind. So I really think that any sort of vision and planning starts with what's important to you. I think it's important to have a personal brand and a professional brand. People are going to want to follow people that are living a lifestyle that's attractive. And if we're in our offices 24/7 and we're stressed out and we don't have some sort of a balance, I don't know that we're going to promote as many people as we possibly could. But if they can see a lifestyle that is duplicatable, that's how we're going to attract that next level of people. From there, creating a mission statement. So I just use my 3 words. So as a team player in the CanRock division, we're excited to work with people that are committed to their opportunity, being committed to growth, setting goals, becoming the best versions of themselves. We're looking for people who are coachable. The job isn't easy, but it sure is rewarding if you're coachable and open to overcoming challenges. Lastly, we want to work with people who are kind. We look for the best in people and help bring out their strengths through our leadership. We believe in others before they believe in themselves, even if that means being the tough coach. So in our division, we choose growth and dreaming big. So, I'm sure you guys have some sort of a mission statement, but just that ties in with your brand, and then that's going to play out into that long-term vision. We talk a lot about dreams and goals, but really knowing your personal goals and dreams. This is a book that I use every single morning. It's called the Start Today Journal. I'm sure you've heard of Rachel Hollis. She's sort of the female Tony Robbins. So if you have some female leaders in your business, I would definitely recommend that they follow her. She's done some tremendous things over this last year, and she's actually spoke at some Tony Robbins events. So she's just a lightning bolt of fire, and she's really, really inspirational. And so every morning I start my day with 5 things I'm grateful for, and then 10 things as if I made them happen. And it's pretty wild to look back over this last year and some of the big goals I put down with recruiting, with trips, with personal fitness, with savings goals, that they were big things that I put. But every morning I start off by putting little things I'm grateful for and then rewriting the same 10 things over and over and over again, and going back. And then once they happen, you kind of take them off. And then just having that laser focus of, what am I on that list really going to go after today? And so it's a mixture of things. And so that's just kind of that combination of some daily gratitude and then intentional goal setting. And so that's just, something that I've implemented. And then how I kind of transfer that into the division is every staff meeting we have starts out with them writing a thank you card. So it's just common practice now that when we start our staff meetings, there's a pile of thank you cards or note cards or whatever in the middle of the table. They can pick anyone that they're grateful for. They want to say thank you to whoever. And I've just found that starting our staff meetings this past year with just some gratitude gets everyone in the right intention, because it's kind of, crazy sometimes in the office, especially come summer. So it slows things down, reminds us what's going well, reaches out, and it's just making a ripple of effect here in Canada. So that's something I'm really proud of, and I 100% feel has made a massive difference, just how I start my day and how I go into that. I also like to sort of look at 3 things or 3 intentions that I want to have for the week, and getting better at having gaps in my schedule. So when I'm at the office, I'm typically booked every single minute or hour of the day. And I've started to leave myself little gaps and buffer zones so that I have time to work on some of the projects and just putting that into the calendar. But this is something you can obviously just get online, or you can order one of these books. But I've loved this practice over this last year and definitely have seen value in that. Having projections and how you're going to get there. So our division will finish just over 2.2 million for this year. The goal is to double that. So that was just done with our 5 offices. So we just had myself, 2 districts and 2 branches. And then for our division, these are how the breakdown of the goals. So just really working on how that's going to play out. So to my 4 offices I had last year, 2 of them were districts. Those districts are still open. And then my two branches. One's going to be a senior branch. The other branch is at Costco. So super proud that I was able to keep all four of them, retained into this year. And then just looking how we can grow every year. So big goals, big thinking, but laying that out and then having the plan and the vision of how that can happen, I think is important. And then just putting this in all the places. So this is on like a big whiteboard in our office. It's part of our PC conversations as you're sitting down, with the division, meetings, things like that. In our interview, we share our goals. So just implementing this as many ways as possible, kind of like how you kicked off the call and like sharing like what your changes are going to be for this year. The more we talk about this, the more that just becomes ingrained as culture. So, a little scared to go after these goals, but also really excited to see what we can build. I have a lot of opportunity in Western Canada with a lot of territory. And so just continue to build the right people. It's going to be exciting. So projections and beyond, and just sort of how I broke those down. So all I did was basically just go through different categories, which I'm sure you guys do the same thing. The only thing not really in here would be our events, but those would really go under sort of the pilot office / CSPs. So didn't separate that category. The business plan. So there's been lots of different business plans I've been exposed to over the years. And I feel like the paper documents are a great way to think through ideas. For myself and anyone that I've opened, this has been something that I've used to just break it down to the ridiculous. So I started here with the sales goal. So you can see right there, 300,000 for this campaign, and then breaking that down to recruits. So how I've worked out the math is basically what that would look like. And yes, in the summer we do it by week, so it builds, but just how this breaks down on a weekly basis. And then having just over 50% of those being PRs. So that's launching 9 a week. And then backing those numbers down to how many we'd have to have show and training, how many we'd have to have set, and then based on this number, how many PRs we'd have to have set for cycle. So the biggest and most important number that I go after on a weekly basis is this number, which is the PR set for cycle number. So then my benchmarks kind of pull from this business plan. So I've got my weekly PR set for cycle target, is 40 right now. The set for training number is 30, weekly launching of 9, and then a CPO goal of 17, 18,000. So we currently have, going into this campaign, we have 76 reps on our team. So it's just a matter now of working with, we have high school kids as well. We can work with grade 12s here. So working with these grade 12 kids that do maybe 2 demos a week, working with our leadership academy, and really just navigating that. There shouldn't be a reason why we're not doing over 20K a week, right going into this week. And I know our program's a bit different. We don't do this January program. So our kids are already back in school. They started yesterday. So it's a little different here, but it's just like starting the fresh campaign. So I just backed that up to how much the first weekend pop would be, and then what would be that Tuesday to Monday, what assistant managers are going to sell, the active team, any FSL business, any old CSP that comes through, and then break that down to the demos per week and then demos per day. So when I'm sitting down with a branch manager, we're working on a summer goal, I can teach them the benchmarks that they need to focus to drive business, which is going to give them a lot of confidence in what they can control. And then we just talk about what are all the different ways you can go after that PR set per cycle number. There's a lot of control in those numbers. Here are the 5 different ways you can impact that number today. And if you were to focus on getting 26 demos done on that day, your office is going to ship, over 20 grand. So this is something that's been, I've utilized over the last couple years. And I feel like, this is something that I have in my office. I update it on a weekly basis, and then I adjust it where I need to. And for me, this has just been, as I teach development, a simplified way versus the 15-page document on how to create their business plan. And so I've been using that. And then, as I shared, the campaign goals are down there as well. Slack. Does anybody use Slack? You use Slack, Nick? Okay. Buddy, do you use Slack? Okay.
I don't, but I've heard it. I don't, but I've heard it.
So this is something that I 100% feel has allowed me to scale the business to an entirely different level, because I can categorize my conversations by topic. So anything that I want to have sort of a program, I create a channel for it. So they don't text me, they don't email me, everything is through Slack. So you can see there's different channels that I've used here. So for example, our advertising channel, the CanRock discussion. So within our division, if there's just some discussion that needs to happen, that's where that's going to go. I have my division post an update after every interview they run so that they're measuring their results. I want to know how many were, showed, how many were kept, how many were signed, how many PR names they got, what was that for the average. And so I'm training them that they're doing an update after pretty much every activity they're doing. They do an advertising of any sorts. They're going to take a picture, post it in Slack. So it's kind of like Snapchat meets email meets texting all together. I have a channel for my executive assistant. So any ideas I have, reminders, questions, things for our meetings, to-dos, I'm not texting her. I can just put that there. And then I'll show you guys in the future slides how I can go back and check mark to make sure things were done. Interview updates from my office. So if I'm not there on the day, I can see exactly what happened on every interview that was run. We have a push week channel. So that's where I can post like the announcement. People can share their goals. They can cheer each other on. Leadership Academy, so that's where I'll post documents. That's where I'll do highlights, reminders, different motivational things. Any office communication stuff that has to happen within my office, there's a channel for personal coaching, so everything will get updated into Web PDI. But we've got 6 or 7 team leaders, so I like them when they do some PCs, just to put a quick snapshot of what happened. I have them post a picture of the PC that they worked out, so their demo goals and everything they wrote down on paper. I can take a picture and put that in Slack so that I can give them feedback on how to get better at PCs. A PRA channel, so the PRA team that we have throughout the week, how many texts that were sent, how many they reached, how many they scheduled, so I can track the PRs there. Sample kits. So this is a way that we can track when someone brings their sample kit in. If team leader A is in the office and the rep shows up to team leader B, that team leader can just say, hey, tag the person, so-and-so on your team brought their kit, is checked in, checked out, you're all good there. And there's a communication channel there. And then my executive assistant checks our sample kits 4 times a week. And then we've got a binder with our inventory that we're tracking on that. When I run the SLDM meetings in the summer, then I'll add people to this Slack channel there, and that's where we can recognize them. We started our social media jumpstart. Stampede is just a really big trade show we have in the summer, so we have a separate channel for that. My team leaders, so different communication for them, and then just trade shows. So I'm able to really add, subtract any sort of channel that I want, but if I want to know exactly what happened with advertising, I just click on that channel. So here's an example of my advertising channel. So you can see here, like this person posted, I got, these posters up at U of L, they prepped 200 candy canes, that's some of the team cutting posters. So I can see exactly what happened. I can see what the table looks like, within the division. And so I'm seeing all the updates there. And then I can just put like a thumbs up, but that's on fire. I can comment, and that's all within advertising. So if we're running a contest, and the executive assistant needs to know how many hours a certain person did for the draw, it all has to go in Slack if you want to qualify for the contest. So just training them that everything they do goes in there so that I can play on what gets recognized, gets repeated. When they're different offices, they can see what's happening. And then I can see, well, what does your table look like? And did you actually go in the morning, and all those things. Here's an example of my sample kit channel. So, this person came in, booked a PC, and then there's a check mark, right? I don't see it in the binder. So just a way for them to have communication within the channel based on that topic. So-and-so returned their kit, Maddie cleaned the 12 kits, didn't finish the last 11, blah, blah, blah. And then the check mark to make sure that's done. Something that everybody in the division has to do is a daily update. So every single day, this is the document of the update that they have to do. And then I'm able to get a snapshot into exactly what happened. I post an update every day as well. I'm probably one of the most, we do it in Team Canada as well, but and it is, sometimes a 11 o'clock post, but it's something that I'm committed to, because in order for me to grow the business, I need to know exactly where I'm at currently. So this is a document that they all have. So what to include in their update, I want to know the number of touches they had that day, the number they scheduled, the number that was set for interviews for the next day, the number of people they signed from the interviews on the day, how many PR names they got collected, and we do that divided by the recruits. So if they signed 10 that day, X amount of PR names, and it was an average of 7, I want to know that number. The PRs that were booked by the manager, number that are set for training versus the goal, number of people set for interviews. I think that's right. Yeah, the next day. Number of demos completed versus the demo goal for the week. So this document sort of parallels with the business plan because it has the benchmarks in there. So if your demo goal is 200 for the week and you're at 120, well then that's where they can measure where they're at. How many PCs they were completed, the CPO for the week versus CPO goal, and then just their best part of the day. So they always have to put the BPD, business related, so that they're looking for the good in every single day. And then there's additional based on the days of the week. So I'm able to, the next morning, whenever they post it, kind of take a snapshot and see, what actually happened in that office, what happened in my office, what's their advertising update, how many apps they get on campus, and then give them some feedback and ask questions there. So you can see there's just a couple examples from a little while ago of where they're at, and then it's able to track that. So that's something that we do on a daily basis in Slack, and there's a whole channel just for the updates. Office communication is another channel that we have. So we've got the January calendar in there. So they have access to that. And then if there's anything that needs to be fixed, we can tag certain people in there. We use certain codes, so when they're going through Slack, they can use a check mark, they can use a red dot if it's urgent, and then a blue dot, so you can see there's some of the dots, and then that way as I'm going through Slack, if I see things that are a little bit more urgent, I can cross those off the list first, and then it's just a way of just same communication throughout the channels. I'm a big fan of the different checklists, and taking things that I learn at SLC or from podcasts and putting them into the system. So I try to create programs that are duplicatable for other people. So this is an example of like our weekly checklist. So what are all the things that have to get done on a Monday to make the business run efficiently? So these are your Monday to-dos, your Tuesday to-dos, your Wednesdays, so on and so forth. And just everything from making day 3 folders for training. We launch on a Saturday, so making sure those are prepped the day before. They've got the binders. Updating the sample kit, refurbishing kits, updating web PDI with the get to know you sheets. So it's just kind of a way to break down all of the little things that really make a big difference by day, and then they just check that off. So the assistants use this, and then the branches and districts use this in their office as well. And then just creating some checklists on things that I want to measure and do on like a monthly campaign and yearly basis. So we just made this a few weeks ago, but I was finding there was things that we were doing that were really great ideas. And then I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot to do that again. So I just basically created these lists, and we're still, it's just a Google Doc. So we're just adjusting that. So an example would be like on a yearly basis, making sure that we send, cards to our campuses, that we send some Christmas gifts to the landlords. That's something that I don't want to forget. So on the yearly checklist, and that will build as we keep growing, but just things that are easy to do, easy not to do, but make a huge impact. Campaign, right? Updating bios. So we've got a Google Doc set up. So every single person in my leadership academy and key players, that at the end of the campaign, my executive assistant is going to go in there and put down all the highlights of the campaign that just happened, and put so-and-so was number 7 in the scholarship. This person, earned inner circle. This person was a P banquet ski trip qualifier. So that when a conference comes or they get promoted, I've got this access to this Google Doc, and it's like, boom, this is all the information on this person. But it's challenging to do if I wait till last minute, but if it's done at the end of a campaign, we've got all the standings, my executive assistant can just put that all into a Google Doc. I have that all ready to go. Updating all the TLA parent information. So I want to make sure on a campaign basis, I'm sending something to the parents. I really want to play on the whole, the giftology idea where it's not expected. So maybe it's just a card, maybe it's something small, but something just throughout the year that my key players, they're not just getting a Christmas gift. Like I gave them poinsettias this year for Christmas with a card, and that was nice, but I'd love to do something 3 times a year. Printing off pictures, we have so many awesome pictures that we take, but again, just on a campaign basis, making sure we're adding those to the wall, and that's a system. Our key staff binders are updated. We're booking events, high school tables, making new posters for team meetings, making a new stat sheet for each campaign. So I'll show that in a minute. And then just, folders. On a monthly basis, my executive assistant will post in Slack at the beginning of the month. These are the birthdays, these are anniversaries. So I just have to, and then she leaves a stack on my desk, and I just write the cards. They get sent out. So just something that we do at the beginning of the month on our meeting. Campus postings for the division. Rep calendars are printed. And then for her schedule, I just have certain things that she does on a weekly basis and she's 4 times a week with me, and just different things that I'm able to delegate. So those change, throughout the months as well. Printing off standings. So just anything, I'm trying to get better at scaling the business and trying to, if it's not with people, if I'm not in front of a person or doing something to grow my business, then I am delegating it. And not because I'm too good for that, but I don't need to be printing off office standings, right? Assistants can be doing PCs. So just getting better at trying to scale in a strategic way. And then just things that I want to make sure we do pre-summer. So I want to make sure that my executive assistant has all the rep calendars ready to go. I've already got all my team meetings planned. that kind of stuff, key staff meetings, events, and then post-summer, thank you to landlords, updating the booklet, stuff like that. So just creating a live Google Doc of things that I hear on podcasts or whatever, and then putting those into a plan. This is something I started just over 2 years ago, but tracking results from every single campaign. It's not pretty, it's not perfect, but basically on a week-to-week basis, I track how many were set for training, how many showed, how many launched, anything I want to grow. And it's kind of a snapshot at the end of campaign of what are areas of weakness and then what are areas of opportunity. So it actually goes a lot longer. It goes to these next slides as well. So I have the PR names that I launched per recruit, the touches per launch, the number of demos set, how many of those actually were completed, how many reps were advanced training, what percentage was at advanced training, how many demos were booked at advanced training, how many rep driven were done at advanced training, what was my pop for my first training weekend, what was the average, what was my second weekend CPO, what were the number of reps at advanced training, the percentage of launches, number at the phone jam, number of demos set, number at my team meeting, how many demos were set at my team meeting, what percentage of people that were at the meeting versus demo set was that, how many were set per rep. So like massive opportunity for me to get more demo set per rep in phone jams, my CPO for the week in new business, so on and so forth. And then just any notes. So that's then something that the executive assistant does on a weekly basis. And then at the end of the campaign, I'm able to take a snapshot of that and be like, okay, whoa. Like if I'm going to focus on 3 things to get better at, first weekend pop, PR names, demos at team meetings. And then I can create my business plan based on areas that I know that I need to grow because we're tracking that. So when I do my plan for this summer, I just use last summer's and the summer before to say, okay, what grew from summer A to B and what are we going to do to grow summers, this summer coming up. So that's a Google Doc that's updated once a week that I use there. I'm a old school planner with calendars. So this is just to kind of show you just the value of planning on paper. So how I always set off my plan is I just print off like the old school calendars like this, and then I've got them for different sections of my business. So I plan 18 months out at a time, and then I kind of start with the back results and I move forward. So I'll have one of these printed for my personal life. So what are things that I want to have happen in a year and a half from now, whether it's a trip, an investment, whatever it is that I want to do personally, birthday parties, things like that. All of that goes in the calendar. Girls' trips, a trip for Brad and I, everything goes in the personal calendar first. Brad will put his stuff in there. Then we'll throw in hockey tournaments, dance, gym, all that stuff in there. So that will be a personal one that I'll do. And then I'll do a separate one for an 18-month vision for the office and the division. So I'll map out for the next 18 months, all of my parent meetings, my boot camps, my TLA meetings, like that's all planned 18 months out. So I know when I'm running Leadership Academy next fall. So it's done a year and a half out so that's kind of all in one calendar. I've got another set of calendar that I use for campus and job fair. So I will put in all of my campus tables, all of my job fairs, any high school visits, all of that stuff will go in a separate one for the division. And then with each of my managers, I print off a set of 12 as well, or 18 depending, and I'll have one for like Alexis, one of my DMs. So I'm on a call with her. I can say, when are your tables, all that in there. And then I can just give that to my executive assistant. She can put in all the tables for the division on a Google Doc. So I know on X day, we've got these tables happening. I've got this happening. But I just find that in a PC, when I'm on Zoom, that if I have paper, I'm more present and I'm not over my computer. And then it's a way for me to put in their holidays. I can put in their training dates. I can put in, different reminders, different events. If they have to book flights to come to certain things, I can make all those notes. And so I do that. So I just keep track of those just in file folders. And it's kind of like each area of my business has its own folder. So I'll have, a campus folder, I'll have PR program, and then all the documents are kind of on there. Obviously, tons is saved on my computer too, but I just find that for me planning, when I have all the calendars laid out, I can kind of really look forward, write things down, put ideas, put reminders, and then, eventually that gets put into a computer system, but I'm pretty still a big planner with paper, and then I still use a passion planner. So this is my passion planner. So on a week-to-week basis, I have on here like my work to-do list on the bottom, my personal to-do, any things that happen, and then just the schedule. So paper might not be your thing, but that's something that I found of huge value when building a calendar. For tracking my Leadership Academy, I like to just have a folder for each of them. It's in a big binder. This is just a Photoshop. This isn't my real binder. It's at the office, but it's basically just a bunch of manila folders like this. And it'll just have their name on it. And then when I'm in a PC, I can just have a blank piece of paper, take all of my notes. Most of that stuff it could be personal, so I don't want to just put it in web PDI. It also allows me to be super present during these PCs. I like to do these PCs either at a coffee shop or not necessarily always with my computer open. So I like to be able to take the notes there, and then I can print off their commission statements, put those in the folders once a week, make notes on that, circle things, highlight that. And then that way I've just got my big TLA binder with just all of my documents in there. And then, up and coming assistants and things like that. So more personal stuff will go in there. There obviously there are commission statements that are more personal will go in those, just hole punch it, put it in a binder system that I feel like that works. And then when I'm meeting with them, I can just take out their folder, add stuff to it. And then I've got, I'll date our conversation. So if I had my conversation on December 30th before my next call, I can just pull up that file and I've got all my handwritten notes. So it just is a way for me to be like way more engaged with them versus on my computer trying to type notes and all that. And then really write down all of the little things. So they might mention a favorite movie that they're going to go see, and then that plays into different gifts that I can send and things like that. So something that I've utilized with that. And then I think I just wanted to just share that with my executive assistant, just how much she's been such a big part of me growing my business. So she's been with me since almost just over 2 years. And she's somebody that I've been able to really grow my business with. So I would say that she's probably the most important person in my office because with her, I'm able to just scale and execute a lot more of the programs. So one of my focuses has been with the planning part is a 2-hour meeting with my pilot every single week, and then 2 hours my executive assistant every single week. And being able to just really parking lot a lot of ideas, utilizing Slack, utilizing the plan, the bigger vision, and then working backwards. And and then just kind of wanted to wrap up with just some of the highlights that I think, which, you kicked off with, so I'm not going to reread them. But one of the things that all these things compiled, I think is what's really helped us grow on the recruiting front. Still lots of areas of opportunity to get better, but finishing, number 5 in new business for the year and then number 1 in recruiting. I really believe the planning, the systems, the scaling the business has really helped us grow. And then it just takes real planning to organize this kind of chaos. So hopefully that was a little bit helpful. And if you have questions, I thought that I could, there's like 10 minutes left. So I don't know.
It's so cool. If you want to unshare your screen, I love that it takes real planning to organize all this chaos. Buddy, your face right now is the perfect face to describe everything that's going on in my head. I know we're still on recording and this is great, but I want to talk about it after we end that. But I'm amazed at the amount of detail. I'm almost overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed by it because I'm like, when do you actually work, with the amount of time? But what I have to remind myself of every time I see this is that this is not something that you just went to the store and purchased and then started doing. This is something that has months and years of layers and mistakes, and it's something that you've developed, and it continues to grow. And what I'm really fired up about is taking even just one of these ideas and implementing them into mine. Really, really impressive. Thank you. So much great stuff. I've got 2 full pages and 11 different bullet points of things that I need to work on for sure. So does anybody have any specific, I guess it's just you and me now, buddy, but do you have any specific questions for Shayla?
Yeah. So, I was just kind of mind blown the whole time. And I looked over at my Dom and I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm a disaster. Am I even running an office? If you were to like kind of pinpoint, obviously you kind of, you went from being the SPM where you probably had some of these systems in place, kind of like a little bit of your nature and career. But if you were to pinpoint like maybe one thing that we could do now that we could start executing, not obviously we can't do everything at once.
I would say get on Slack. Slack is new to me. I only started Slack in less than a year ago.
Okay. And you utilize Slack and WebPDI?
Yeah, I'm going to see. Okay, my computer, I left the charger at my office, so I'm just using a different computer. I was gonna say I could just go on at live time, but I would say dive into Slack. It's free. I don't pay for it. You can obviously, pay to have more room, but I all it does is if you pay, it just allows you to save it all, but you don't need to save your messages from 6 months ago, right? Like any documents that are really valuable, we have a division Google Doc and like a website that they just go to. So any documents that I might post for a meeting, if those get deleted eventually, that's no big deal. But I would say Slack, because my whole thing is like, I don't work Wednesdays and I don't work a lot of Saturdays. So it's basically like, how can I be the most effective with the hours that I have? And for me, Slack is a way like that when I tune in, I can be like super engaged with all the different things. I can add things in there. Angie's in part of them, Joe's in part of them, Sherry's in part of them, our sales promotion team's in part of them. So there's a way that my team is getting love from a whole variety of people. And just like, hey, great job. Someone posts in the push week one, Angie can say, hey, proud of you, or congrats or whatever. And I just think it works just so well with this generation, because they want to show what's happening. They can take a selfie, they can put it in there, but it's just not a mishmash of emails. They don't go on email. The texting drives me nuts. I'm like, don't text me. If it's important, email me, but just put it in Slack. And then I can just do it. So they know not to really communicate with me via text. Like, I'm not mad if they text me, but they would just put it in Slack, because that's where I go to communicate with them. They know if I'm not working, that I'm not really going to respond to them. So it's just a way to like set a standard to be like the CEO of your own business, right? Like, you're running a business, you're the CEO. So you have to have these systems and what's the word I'm looking for? Departments. So it's like, if every part of your business if you look at it like a department. So when you make the business plan, it's not like just like the CPO goal or the recruiting goal. It's like, okay, what's my campus department look like? And then just spend an hour on just your campus department, and then make an advertising contest, make an advertising plan. When you order your active advertising, like I have an active advertising calendar based on, which I guess I didn't share any of those kind of things, but like an active advertising calendar that breaks out how to get out 5,000 cards. And then I just assign people to it. So if you're on my AM team, or if you're in TLA, you have a day a week. Like, we do postering every day of the week. So if you're this manager, you're every Monday. If you're and we pair it up. So on the calendar, so it's a standard. I learned that being a pilot. I'm like, working a table by myself sucks. Not getting posters up is really annoying. I'd like to take my kids to school 3 days a week. So I don't want to be on campus at 6 a.m. or I'd rather be at the gym at 5, right? Like, I don't want to be on campus. So it's just a way of like delegating and creating systems and programs, and then promoting it in a way that's exciting and fun, that, hey, you're a leader in our organization. One of the roles of an AM is advertising once a week. And then I have position descriptions for our sales assistants or field assistant managers. So when I'm going to promote somebody, like this last campaign, I was able to post in Slack, looking to add 2 assistant managers, or looking to interview 2 assistant managers for the upcoming campaign. If you're interested and you want to set up an interview for an AM position, let me know. And I was able to put that in Slack, take a few people, go through the description, and then in there's advertising. But that only happened because my advertising department is organized. So trust me, my team would probably be the first. They don't know what they don't know, but they'd be like, Shayla is all over the map. But I just look at the things as in like departments. So I've got my campus department. So just maybe think about what are your top 3 departments, and then breaking those down, and then just start maybe with Slack with daily updates. That's an easy one. I mean, even if it's just you and you're like, I'm just going to hold myself accountable to what the hell's going on in my business. What went well today? Where are things at? Training your pilot manager to do that. So if I'm not there, my pilot does it. With my TLA starting, next week, every single one of them will get 1 week before they open to do daily updates, so they get practice with it. And that's just going to be a standard that at the end of every day in your branch or district, you need to post an update. I only have 2 districts, but both of them post every day. If they don't, hey, get your update done. So it's just a quick window into that. I don't know. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
I mean, I got a lot out of that. Buddy, does that answer your question?
Absolutely. I don't know if you'd be willing or open to adding me onto your Slack, so I can maybe take a peek for a couple days.
Yeah, I can do that.
Kind of how you.
Yeah, I'd like that too. If you could, if you could allow that.
So I'll get you. I'll send you an invite, and then you just sign up or like log in, and then I can just add you my channels, and you can just be like a fly on the wall watching what we do. Yeah, I'll add you to all of them, and then you can just see, and then you can duplicate what you want. And it's grown over time. Like I only started with office communication and updates, and then I've just scaled it since. And then what's really cool is that as the new development comes up, is they don't know any different. So they start, the first exposure they get to Slack is in an SLDM meeting, where I say, hey, I'm going to add you to our Slack channel. This is how we communicate within our division. And then they just get used to it. It's just an app on their phone. And then they can just have access to that. And then the next would be like a push week. So for our SC2 Alliance, that's the next area that they would grow. And then usually a lot of your alliance ends up moving forward into TLA. So then that would be the next channel. So it will grow over time as you build, onto it. So I know you guys use WhatsApp for certain things, and but that's still on your phone, right? Where this is all accessible through a computer too. Or I guess WhatsApp probably is available, but yeah. So I can just basically do it all that way. So yeah, I'll put you on all my channels and you can see what happens. But that's what I would start with, is probably like either Leadership Academy, office communication. And then I just added certain things like sample kits, my PR channel, campus, or advertising, sorry, as time.
I'd like to know, I mean, we use GroupMe right now, which is similar to WhatsApp, but not as good. I think WhatsApp was something I was considering moving to. Now it's clearly Slack. My question would be, when you have channels, are those like, let's say sample kit channel, is that underneath just your office banner and then these are all the channels within that? Or is that like every office that has sample kits talk?
That one's just for mine personally. Okay. That's just for my office. Cool. So you can choose who you want in each channel. Okay. So like in my executive assistant, it's just me and Tatiana. Right. In my division, it's everyone in the division. In Leadership Academy, and then I've got team leaders. So you pick and choose who you want in those channels. So sometimes you might have a Leadership Academy that's only part of Leadership Academy, and they just go there to get the information or the Zoom links or whatever. So they'll say, hey, do you have, I'll say I posted the code in Slack, and they just go for that information. But some of them, like the CanRock discussion, I would have the division. I don't really want to be doing kits with all of them, but they could create their own, like they each have their own Slacks.
Yeah.
So they go their divisions.
And you could be a part of it if you needed to.
Yeah. So I'm a part of all of Mitch's. Mitch is a part of mine. So he gets a lot of ideas from mine. And then we have a Team Canada one as well. So on the corporate level, so like one of them that I will put in the summer is, hashtag I have a question. So that'll be divisionally. So sometimes it's like, a simple question, like whatever, something. And the cool thing about it is that if they're all in there, someone else might answer it before I get to it. So they're helping. They're like, it's a very team culture thing where they can say, oh, it's just under this part on the website, or go on Vector Connect. Here's how you do that. And so it's just a great way for people to help each other too. So if I'm running training or something and someone else sees it or whatever.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with Slack. I think it's totally helped scale things, and I'm really happy with how it works. Yeah.
Fired up. Well, buddy, we'll give her a round of applause as we stop our recording. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. And for other band members or people listening to this, I hope you got a lot of great value out of it. Those of you who missed it, Kyle Jameson, come on, Ryan, don't miss it again. Just kidding. All right.